How are you, sir?
Doing very well.
Yeah, I hit go live here. I gotta wait for a second for it to catch up for Instagram. Once Instagram is a go, which it is right now. There we are. We are live on Instagram. Hi, Dr. Akin. How are
Hi,
you? Well, it's
doing
been
good.
about a week already. It seems like it was just yesterday, and there was a holiday in there, and I feel like it was just kind of a hectic week. I don't know about you.
Time flies.
So we ended the live stream last week, and of course that was the first time that Dr. Akin has ever co-hosted this with me. And it was a holiday week, and so I left the live stream and I went and spent the evening with family and friends that were in town. And I didn't think to follow up with Dr. Akin, and then Thanksgiving came on Thursday, and then Friday, and then Saturday. And what did I call it yesterday, Doctor?
Yeah.
Are you gonna mind co-hosting with me again? Um, So I apologize. I know I apologized on the phone yesterday, but I apologize for seeming a little bit scatterbrained. It's been that way. It's just been a hectic week. Anyway, folks, welcome to this live stream. My name is Jim Grasser. I am a professional competitive barbecue cook. What does that guy have to do with it? I'm a professional competitive barbecue cook, and I was also a career lumberman. That means I bought and sold lumber. Pretty boring trade, but actually it's pretty fun. But along the way, I kind of think I just fell into this average working day, the working week. And with my barbecue hobby, I kind of lost track of taking care of myself, and I ended up very sick, very, very sick. I had a 459 LDL. I had a 565 cholesterol and a 12.2% A1C. And I went on to all the different medications. I call it kind of your starter pack. Actually, a good friend of mine, Ro, calls it your starter pack. 2,000 milligrams a day of metformin. I was on 40 milligrams a day of rosuvastatin calcium, which was a max dose. And then I was also on 50 milligrams of losartan and Trulicity. I was on a 4.5 milligram pen of Trulicity. All of them except for the losartan being max dose. I was able to get my numbers under control. But I was very heavily medicated. And doctor, I was kind of willing to live like that. I was in a weird way, I was willing to do it. I was alive, and I felt like I was lucky to be alive. And I was just that was my life. I was gonna do that, and I was gonna do the Mediterranean diet, and that was it. And no more pizza. Don't ever have pizza again. God forbid, don't have a hamburger or a steak. Like, don't ever do that stuff again. Don't ever miss a pill. If you miss a pill, I literally thought that if I missed a pill, I would fall over dead. And I was actually content with that. Weird.
Yeah. This is why metabolic syndrome is so sneaky. It's tricked us into thinking that this is a normal part of aging. You get to a certain age, you're supposed to go on blood pressure medicine, right?
Yes.
I mean, you're supposed to go on cholesterol medicine, and that's supposed to be a permanent thing. Up until just a few years ago, if you even asked the American Diabetic Association, they called diabetes a progressive disease, which means you get it and then it progresses, not that you could reverse it. It wasn't until recently that they actually reversed their position on that. This is a potentially curable disease. So diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, those aren't things that have to happen. And if you look at hunter-gatherer groups that exist on various places on the earth right now, none of those people are eating sugar. No, I mean, not unless they dig it out of a beehive, which is not going to happen very often. But the deal is, none of those people are dying of heart attacks and strokes. None of them have high blood pressure. In fact, their blood pressure goes back down when they reach into their 50s. It starts going back down to where it was in their teenage years. That's the normal thing to happen in your body. The problem is you're just in a very treacherous food landscape where we live here in Western world.
Well, and so that's where I get to where I'm at now. Is I was just fine on those medications until, I don't know if you remember this or not, and I don't know if I've even told you this or not, but about 2 years ago, boy, that GLP-1 wave really hit, and all of them went on national back order, including the one that I was on. I was on Trulicity, national back order. I could not get it. And Amory Wetton, who you know, good friend of mine. Actually, I've known Amory for 30 years. She's one of the smartest people I've ever met. And she said, "Hey, have you tried this unicity stuff?" And I was like, "No, I don't do gimmicks. I don't do these." Magical elixir.
Something real.
Yeah, give me. Yeah, no, I'm on the hard hitting stuff. You just keep your tea. And she said, Jim, there's a lot of people that have been reversing diabetes. And I thought, okay, now don't say stupid things. You just said something stupid. You're very smart. Don't say stupid things. You can't do that. I trust her. I couldn't get my medications, and so I started it. And doctor, that was January 4th. And I say that loosely. I believe it was January 4th. It might have been January 3rd or January 5th, but I'm pretty sure it was January 4th. I wish I would have kept better records. What I do know is that on February 16th, a little over a month later, I had a call from my doctor, my endocrinologist, saying I could quit taking my medications altogether. Yeah. That was almost 2 years ago. February will be 2 years. About a month ago, I had an A1C pulled. I'm a 4.8%. I've been completely unmedicated for nearly 2 years, 4.8%. I went to TikTok and social media and started talking about this and promoting the product online, and I've met thousands and thousands of people who are sick. And I've been able to, I don't know why, but I've been able to help quite a few people reverse type 2 diabetes. In fact, I think over the last 2 years, I think it's been no less than 100 people that I think I've helped reverse type 2 diabetes. I'm very proud of that. I don't know how this even happened, but here we sit. And along the way, I met you. And see, at the time, I'm just going to share this real quick, and I want you to do an introduction of yourself. But at the time, I was terrified of talking to doctors about this because I thought the doctors were going to think, oh my gosh, this hocus pocus stuff, you know. And then I come across you, and you are very well established. You're renowned. And here you are. Would you tell us about you? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a neurosurgeon. My name is Dr. Akin. I'm a board certified neurosurgeon. I've been practicing for about 25 years. And I come from a medical family. My father was a general surgeon, and I have an uncle who is an ophthalmologist, and I have a cousin who is in the pediatric ICU at Vanderbilt. And so whenever it's holiday time, we're talking a lot of medical shop. But I've grown up in and around hospitals my whole life. I've been around doctors and medicine basically my whole life. And I've seen a lot of changes in medicine during that time frame. And when you brought up that, you know, you were a little maybe reticent to say something to a doctor about this product because they might think it was hocus pocus. Well, I was one of those kind of doctors at one time. And we've all been sort of indoctrinated in this idea that supplements are sort of an inferior, suboptimal choice, and somehow the pharmaceuticals are just really the mainstay of treatment for just about everything. And but this is one that I just, for whatever reason, decided to experiment, try. I got diagnosed with prediabetes myself. I was overweight, and I thought I don't want to go on a statin because my knowledge of the side effects of statins, one of the big side effects of statins is brain fog. If there's anything that you don't want your neurosurgeon to have when they're operating on your brain, is brain fog. And so I thought I'll give it a try. I've got nothing to lose. I could even get my money back if I wanted. So I went on, and in a very short amount of time, I could recognize that something very good was beginning to happen for me. My weight was going down. The cravings for sugar and carbs were gone. And the clarity of my mind was even better than, you know, what I thought was my baseline was even better. I realized I'd been living kind of in a brain fog for a number of years after being on this. What was ironic was the doctor that diagnosed me with prediabetes recently got diagnosed with prediabetes himself. And I put him on this very product.
Did you really?
In our last encounter. And so I said, man, who owes who for this encounter, man? I was there for a well check. I was like, why don't we just call it even? But anyway, yeah, this product it's listed in a reference that we as doctors go to when we need to know about a drug, get information. And it's called the physician's desk reference. It's basically the most respected reference yeah, there it is right there. That's the most respected reference that we have to really look up drugs. And this is a dietary supplement. That's how it's classified. That is actually in the PDR because it has a pharmaceutical grade mechanism of action and efficacy. That's the term we use in the business is efficacy. Will it accomplish what you need it to accomplish? And that's what it does. So it's been tested by our nation's #1 heart hospital, the place where the bypass graft surgeries were invented and where coronary stents were invented and tested. And even in my neck of the woods, where deep brain stimulators were pioneered. It's this caliber of a hospital has vetted this product, and they have deemed it as good and as a substitute for our current statin drugs that are really the mainstay. Statins are the #2 most prescribed drug of all time. And I think it's like 50 million Americans on statins right now. And numbers are growing. And so this is basically a natural alternative to that option.
Okay. So, man, so many different ways so many different layers. I want to unpeel the onion. First off, what I want to do, though, is I want to address everybody who's being invited into this live stream. Here's the deal. Dr. Akin and I are going to be talking about a product. It's called the Unicity Feel Great System. It's a combination of 2 products and a practice. The practice is intermittent fasting. The 2 products are Unimate and Balance. We'll get into details about what those are. If you've been invited into this live stream, whoever it was that invited you thinks that this information could benefit you. It's going to be an hour long. I promise we're not going to kill you with boredom, okay? Stick around for this. Listen to Dr. Akin speak. Listen to how to use the product. And if it's something you decide that you want to purchase, it's simple. Go back to the person who invited you into this. If the person who invited you into this, they have a referral code. They will get a discount for referring it out. If you get onto the product, you will get a referral code. Refer it out and it will lower the price. It's not ridiculously expensive, but it's not cheap. And why not refer it out? If you can refer it out and help somebody else, wonderful. That's how this world should work, is referrals and speaking good about a certain product. Okay, so with that in mind.
One other little caveat to that. If you go to your doctor, if you have a flex spending account or a medical savings account, you can talk to your doctor about this. They can look it up in the PDR and write you a letter of medical necessity, and then you can pay for this with your flex spending account or your health savings account.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
How after 2 years did I not know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There is the tip of the day, everybody. Okay, so something I want to ask everybody to do here is everybody that's in this live stream right now, tag 5 people. Tag 5 people. Now, if you're on Facebook, tagging 5 people is easy. Just type the @ symbol and start typing their name. When you do that, their name will eventually populate. Hit enter. They are tagged into this. What's going to happen is the next time they open their Facebook, they will get a notification. Same thing works on Instagram. We've got followers. Hi, Damien and Gina on Instagram. If you're on Twitter, same thing. Just tag somebody's name and put their username in there. If you're on YouTube, just share this live stream with them. Okay, so that's how this works. If you have been tagged, stick around, listen to the information. If it's something that you think you want to try, just get back to the person who tagged you or shared it with you. They'll tell you how to order, okay? So with that in mind, the way that this goes is we typically bring in a guest, a testimonial, because it's one thing to hear some random barbecue dude. Hopefully you get a lot more validation from a neurosurgeon, but I think sometimes a testimonial speaks a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And a testimonial, somebody who's actually walked the walk, that helps. So Dr. Akin, I know his name, but I don't know this guy at all.
So Derek Henderson is someone that I met while I was working as a neurosurgeon. Derek, at the time that we met, was a representative for a company for a spinal cord stimulator device. So we implant these spinal cord stimulators for various reasons. The main reason I'm usually implanting one of those devices for pain, refractory back and leg pain. And so Derek was a rep for a company that sold these. This is how we got to know each other. But one day he was calling on me at my office, working for a new company. And that was when I presented the Feel Great system to him. I'll let Derek tell the rest of his story with that at that point. So,
Here he is.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to do this. We'll give Derek the big screen.
no. One other thing about Derek is Derek used to be a professional baseball player, and I'll let you talk about that a little bit as well.
Okay, so here's the deal. I recognize the name. Okay, that's it.
No relation to Ricky Henderson. So, thanks, Dr. Akin. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys doing this because, for 14 years, I've done spinal cord stimulators in the medical device world. And now I can literally talk to people about how they can avoid getting to surgeries which have many risks to it, specifically infections and things of that nature. So again, thank y'all for having me on. But again, my name's Derek Henderson. I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, Hoosier at heart. I live now in Memphis, Tennessee. And for 14 years, I was a professional baseball player, topping out at the AAA level. Played with various organizations, Toronto Blue Jays, New York Mets, things of that nature. I retired in 2004. So I always looked out for my health, but I retired, like I said, in 2004, got into the medical world selling pharmaceuticals with AstraZeneca, and then I transitioned into medical devices, as Dr. Akin mentioned, down in Corpus Christi, Texas. And it was spinal cord stimulators, chronic pain. And I eventually was going to leave that industry, and I ended up getting moved to Memphis, Tennessee, because I didn't want to sit through a non-compete. And that's how I met Dr. Akin. He was in Jonesboro. I'm in Memphis. I still cover that area. So like he said, one day I walked in, we got to talking, and he asked me a question, which I felt dumb as a box of rocks, when he said, "Derek, what do you know about insulin resistance?" I knew nothing. And being an athlete, I felt stupid because I always look after my health. And, he goes, "Well, are you on medication?" I go, "No, thank goodness." And he goes, "Do you suffer from anything?" And I go, "Yeah, I got cholesterol problems." He said, "Well, he goes, "Obviously, if you're not on medication, you don't have a lipid." I go, "You're not taking any lipids?" I go, "No." I go, "But I'm moving towards that because I'm a foodaholic. I love fried foods and I loved ice cream. And I knew my triglycerides were messed up, my HDL was messed up, but it hadn't gotten to the point to where I needed a lipid yet." So he goes, "Well, Derek, I respect you. You're a great salesperson. I've seen you present before. I want you to sell this product for me." And I would go, "Well, hey, I just got a new job, man, and I came to ask you to implant my $50,000 implant." So I wasn't thinking about any new product. I just wanted him to implant my implant so I can keep on doing what I was doing. He goes, "You know what, Derek, that's fair. But do me a favor, give me 90 days. He goes, "You look after your health. You just told me you have cholesterol problems. This product is going to fix what I asked you about, and that's insulin resistance." He goes, "But I want you to go get your blood drawn in 30 days. I said, "Okay, that's fair, Dr. Akin. We can work on that." So I did that. Didn't change my diet. Didn't exercise more. I'm 56, so I can't do all that stuff that I used to do when I was a baseball player. So the day I went in to get my labs after 30 days, I'll be honest with you, I smoked a cigar and had a drink before that. I did that. And I went and my primary care doctor saw my labs because she knew I was going to probably have to get on a lipid soon. And she looked at my labs, and she looked at me, and she looked at my labs, and she looked at me. She said, "Derek, did you change your diet?" And I said, "No." She goes, "Have you been exercising more?" And I said, "Heck no, no." And then she goes, and she showed it to me. She goes, "You have a perfect lipid panel." And I got chills. And I go, "It's that crazy powder Dr. Akin has me on. I know that's what it is." So that right there sold me, because I didn't change anything, I forgot really about it. I just stayed committed in 90 days, but I took my my lab work in 30, and it sold me. But real quick, I wanted to put it to the test. I'll tell you this story. My parents live with me now. They sold their house in Indianapolis, and I was like, all right, cholesterol is one thing, but diabetes is another thing. My dad, who's 83 years old, he's a type 2 diabetic on 4 different medications, sugars well above 300 on the regular. So I asked my mother, I said, Mom, please put him on this product because I want to see if this is the real deal. And after 3 days, his sugars went from about 280 to 157. Then he got on it normally, and now he is off. Long story short, and I'll shut up. Long story short, he's off all 4 medications, including insulin. We got him one of those Freestyle Libre, well, the insurance paid for it, glucose monitors. His sugars are leveling out at 140 to 150 without medication. So if anybody tells you you can't reverse diabetes, you need to talk to my 83-year-old father. It's a wonderful product, an easy, safe protocol that anybody can do. You got to stick with my cholesterol, his diabetes, and I'll say this too. I got to get my wife Esmeralda in this. She developed chemo-induced neuropathy back in 2022. Contracted leukemia. She got chemo-induced neuropathy. She will tell you in the other room. She will tell you she's got 95% of it is gone because of unicity. So this product works, and that's all I got to say. So sorry for being long-winded, but I just wanted to be a good
No. I love this. I wanted to say real quick, first off, I don't know if you're seeing the love that you're getting, but I wear a Freestyle Libre 3 continuous glucose monitor. And I'm not going to lie, I normally am pretty good with my food choices, but today, in a weak moment, I went for the ramen. Right? And the ramen is just awful carbs. That's horrible carbohydrates. And I went for it, and this is my continuous glucose monitor right now. I don't know if you see that flat line, but I'm sitting at 118. Freestyle Libre 3.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome.
Balance and Unimante. So you're getting a lot of love here. That is awesome. As I just had my 83-year-old dad start this system too. I pray for the great results for him as well. So one other thing before I let Dr. Akin in, because I'm sure you got a lot of things to unpack here too, Dr. Akin, but my mother-in-law is 80, and she's reversed type 2 diabetes at 80 years old as well. I reversed it. My mother-in-law has. My mother has. All 3 of us have reversed type 2 diabetes. So Derek, I love the story. If you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and turn your camera off.
Absolutely.
I hand the microphone over to Dr. Akin. Have Dr. Akin explain exactly what is insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, and let Dr. Akin kind of educate all of us. And then I'm going to bring you back, Derek, and have you. We're going to do a Q&A at the end of this, guys. So if you guys have any questions, if you have any questions for Derek about pro baseball or fixing your lipids panels, we're going to bring him back here at the end. Dr. Akin.
Yes.
Would you tell us what exactly is the problem? Okay, and I have a pretty good idea what the problem is, but I figure it's better coming from you.
Well, so the problem being, let's clarify the problem that we're talking about. We're talking about the metabolic problem, or okay?
Yeah.
So the metabolic problem.
Metabolic problem. Yes. All of us.
Okay.
Why are we all so sick?
Yeah, right. So right now, probably, the big, and I think I want to try something, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can share my screen.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, I think I can. Let's try.
If you share, it'll let me show on screen. There you are.
Okay. And so here is the big 5. Okay. There's this thing called metabolic syndrome, is basically the modern day Black Plague. And so unlike the Black Plague that happened in medieval times, which was very obvious when you got it, you got these buboes, these lesions on your skin, and in 3 to 7 days you were dead. So it's pretty obvious to identify that wasn't normal. But this one is sneaky because it made us think that it was just a natural part of aging. So being overweight, high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, kidney disease, diabetes. Everybody seems to think that this is like what's supposed to happen, especially if it happened to your parents. And so you get this idea that this must be your genetic destiny, which it is not. And so collectively, to get this diagnosis, you got to have any two of these things, whether it's overweight, high blood pressure, cholesterol problem, kidney disease, and you must have the insulin resistance. Think of insulin resistance as diabetes light. Okay, it's where basically your cells require more insulin than normal to get the sugar in, but you can still get the sugar in. You can get it out of your bloodstream and normalize your blood sugar levels after a meal.
Diabetes light.
Yeah, diabetes
I'm
light.
using that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. So basically, you're not showing high blood sugars yet, but you've got a problem because there's this general principle in all of medicine, which is homeostasis. There needs to be a balance. Doesn't matter what hormone it is. Too little of a hormone, you got a problem. Too much of a hormone, you got a problem. And it's no different with insulin. If you don't have enough insulin, you have type 1 diabetes. If you have too much insulin going around in your bloodstream, you're headed toward type 2 diabetes. You got insulin resistance. And those high insulin levels are creating problems in your cholesterol, in your blood pressure. All those things secondarily cause cause kidney disease. It's making you overweight. It's why it's difficult for you to lose weight. And so it's the insulin levels that you need to get down. You have to eat in a way such that it will lower your baseline insulin levels. And so that's the problem.
So there is another nephrologist. You mentioned kidneys, but there's a nephrologist who's done quite a bit of work in this area, Toronto guy, Dr. Jason Fung. Yeah. And his work is really about insulin lowering strategies, right? Yeah. Intermittent fasting and a ketogenic diet.
Yeah. He's a brilliant guy.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And what I'm learning is, here's the funny thing, Dr. Akin, and this is the rabbit holes that I like to go down. Dr. Jason Fung is, he's strict glucose control. That's the name of his game, strict glucose control. And he does that through intermittent fasting and through a low carb, high fat diet, ketogenic diet. You know where he got the idea for the strict glucose control and intermittent fasting was from Dr. Elliot Jocelyn. You ever heard of that guy? Jocelyn Diabetes Center?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Dr. Elliot Jocelyn, in 1916, he published research. In 1893, he founded Jocelyn Diabetes Center. But in 1916, he was talking about intermittent fasting and strict glucose control. Now, of course, at the time, type 1 diabetes was the dominant problem. Type 2 was extremely rare, but nonetheless, he was talking about this 100 years ago. So, doctor, a question that I had in mind that kind of came to my mind as we were gearing up for this. There is a very prominent doctor, and I'm not sure if we're going to name names or not, but you know.
Oh, let's name him.
Okay, Dr. Allo, Dr. Muhammad Allo. This guy has 1 million followers on YouTube, I think, something. He's got a lot of followers. And I'm listening to him bash this product, Unicity Feel Great, and I'm listening to him bash other doctors who are talking about whether they're talking about Unicity or not. If they're talking about, hey, increase this with a supplement, if you're talking about this, he just goes after him. He sinks his teeth in. He uses a line. We're smart. Listen to us. If it were that easy, we'd be telling you to do it. That kind of attitude. And it just rubs me wrong. He's a big football fan, and so am I. And Walter Payton is my idol. Walter Payton used to have a saying that when you're good at something, you'll tell everybody about it. When you're great, they'll tell you. And I feel like he's telling everybody how good he is. When you're great, they'll tell you. So, doctor, somebody who's listening to this, they're listening to some Yahoo barbecue dude. They just heard a great testimonial from Derek Henderson, and now they have a neurosurgeon in Dr. Eric Akin saying one thing, and they've got Dr. Muhammad Allo on the other hand talking about what he's talking about. What do you say to the person who's trying to navigate this and decide which way they want to go?
First of all, I'm going to say that I think Dr. Muhammad Allo is a smart doctor. I think he's an intelligent man, but I think that his reluctance to say anything good about the field grade system is based on his personality type. So there's this personality test. You've heard of the Myers-Briggs thing. That's like an antiquated 100-year-old thing. There's another one. It's called the Big Five Personality Inventory. It measures 5 things. And one of those 5 categories is openness to experience. And he is probably, just based on everything I've watched him, he's very low in openness to experience. He's very low in agreeableness, which is one of the other things that it measures. People who are not very agreeable and low in openness to experience tend to be closed-minded to new things. And so that's a bad thing for scientific fields. You cannot have these kind of biases in science. He's good at promoting the status quo that we've been living under for the last 50 or 60 years. He's learned it well, and he's very convicted of it, but he's not going to be open to new things that are actually good. The one question that I want to ask Mohammed Allo, Dr. Allo, how many patients have you put this product on to evaluate it? And because I know if he did, then he would see the difference. It would be hands down. And the companies that, for whom he writes the prescriptions for, they don't want to see a head-to-head comparison. And that's one of the things that he does is he will bash this product. He'll say, well, they paid for their own study. And I'll say, yeah, but that rosuvastatin study, the big, Jupiter trial that you're always talking about is so great. They paid for that study too. So they're no different. They just got more money to pay for bigger studies. But why don't we get, why don't we get the makers of rosuvastatin to pay for a big head-to-head comparison, the field grade system versus a statin, and let's see who wins, and who has fewer complications along the way.
So, and we're kind of going off the beaten path, but I love this, and I hope I hope you're okay with this because I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I like this. We mentioned earlier that statin medications cause insulin resistance. You didn't have any reservation there, or we were talking about diabetes.
Right.
Medications
right.
cause diabetes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is this product addresses multiple aspects of the metabolic syndrome. Rosuvastatin only fixes your cholesterol, okay? And Wegovy only fixes your insulin levels or your glucose levels, but this is a product that solves the whole thing. It cuts the head off the medusa, which is too much insulin in your body.
Doctor, I wanted to share this with you. I don't know if you've seen this one or not. PubMed Central. For those that are, I guess, listening in that have never heard of PubMed Central, this is a website that's hosted by the NIH, the National Institutes for Health. It's a U.S. government agency. And really, it's a place when people do some science, do some research, they have an opportunity to host their published work on PubMed. Is that an accurate way to put it, Doctor?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a study. It was not performed by the NIH. Okay. It was not performed by PubMed. It's just hosted there. Now, this study was done in July of last year. It was published in July of last year, and it is assessing the link between statins and insulin intolerance. It's a systematic review. Doctor, correct me if I'm wrong. A systematic review, what it's doing is it's looking at the overall body of work that's been done, all of the different studies on statin medications and insulin intolerance, and it's taking all of those different studies, putting them together, lumping them together, and coming up with a conclusion based on all of their conclusions. Is that an accurate way to describe a systematic
Right.
review?
Yes.
Okay. So this systematic review had a total of 46,728,889 participants. The findings suggest that the use of statins is associated with a decrease in insulin sensitivity and insulin resistance. This systematic review provides evidence that the use of statins may have an adverse effect on insulin sensitivity and increase insulin resistance. Doctor, what is that telling us?
Well, first of all, you need to understand, because in research, there's various types of studies, but a systematic review is pretty strong type of evidence, And so for this study to make this claim, you saw how many participants in it. The more participants in a study, the more that we're always in studies looking to see, does X cause Y and nothing else caused Y, just X. And so this pretty strongly indicates, that the results came from this. And with one of the strongest forms, the only way you can get a stronger form of evidence is you do what's called a randomized prospective double-blind study. So that's the strongest type of evidence that's there. So
a randomized prospective double-blind study.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Doctor, can you see my screen? Oh, what is going on? What is going on? Hold on. That's not it. This is what I want. Oh, dang it. Here we go. There we go. I'm sorry. Bear with me. Here we go. Share this tab instead. Okay, this right here, Doctor. Could you see my screen? It's not sharing. Dang it.
I can't see it.
Yep. That's wonderful. Here we go.
There we go.
Okay, this is a fiber multivitamin combination therapy. This is a beneficial influence on low-density lipoprotein and homocysteine. This is a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical trial. It was performed at the Cleveland Clinic in 2001. This was peer-reviewed and then published, and it has been cited quite a few times. In fact, let's share this tab instead. This is the actual publication, and I believe it's been cited. It's been cited 20 times, I believe. Okay, so reasonably powerful study. That was the one that you were kind of alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
A randomized double-blind.
This is the balance study. This is a study on balance.
Balance study at the Cleveland Clinic. Yeah. Randomized, placebo-controlled, double-blind, peer-reviewed, published, cited.
Yeah.
That's
people will say, and I saw some British doctor looking at this. He goes, "I read that study. It was ridiculous. Blah blah blah. 25 participants." What he doesn't understand is, for Unicity, a company that just barely crossed the $1 billion valuation a year ago, maybe, to pay for these studies, it's extremely expensive. Okay. They're up against pharmaceutical companies that are like centabillion-dollar gorillas. They can afford to pay for big studies like this. And so if Unicity had a few $100 million to put into it, well, they could probably pay for a study with more participants, but they had enough to really show. And this is a very high quality study. It's the strongest design to determine, does X cause Y and nothing else caused Y. And that's what they demonstrated at our nation's finest institution in cardiology. And so, it's pretty strong evidence, all things considered. But like I say,
that was Dr. A, not Dr. Allo, but that was Dr. A. In fact, I took him on a recent video. I don't normally take on doctors, but I had to have a word or two with him, and I went through and just pointed out the misinformation that he was sharing. It was disgusting. Now, the home of the glycemic index, the University of Sydney, Australia. If you're unfamiliar with the glycemic index is a measuring tool that it's a grading system, if you will, that's assigned to food. Foods that are low in the glycemic index don't really do anything to your blood sugar level. Foods that are high do. The scale is 0 to 100. So foods that are 0, I believe an egg is 0, go over to 100 is white bread. 100 is going to spike your blood sugar higher and faster. An egg will not. In fact, when I have scrambled eggs, my glucose goes down. It's the weirdest thing, but wearing my CGM, I can actually watch my glucose nosedive. The home of the glycemic index, as in if you go to glycemicindex.com, that is the University of Sydney, Australia. The University of Sydney, Australia is responsible for maintaining the International Glycemic Index database as well as website. Now, they have a professor there. Her name is Dr. Jenny Brand Miller. And in fact, let me just go ahead and bring this page up here. Let's go. I don't know if I'm sharing my tab yet. It's funny the way that Restream does shared tabs. So this is the University of Sydney, Australia. It's the glycemicindex.com. If you hit the About page and scroll down a little bit, that's Dr. Jenny Brand Miller. Just a quick little blurb on her. She is an internationally recognized authority on carbohydrates and the glycemic index with over 250 scientific publications. And of course, why am I talking about her? Dr. Jenny Brand Miller studied the effects of a fiber-rich nutritional supplement, BioSlife Slim. This was her at the University of Sydney, Australia, for Unicity International. And in this study, they tested the glycemic index on 3 common starchy foods: white bread, mashed potato, and white rice. And what they observed was that it lowered the glycemic index for all 3 test foods from high down to medium. It also lowered the insulin index. Dr. Akin, reasonably, it's a good source to go to. Dr. Jenny Brand Miller, the University of Sydney, Australia, when you're talking about lowering the glycemic index of foods with a product.
Yeah, the University of Sydney is the birthplace, I believe, of the glycemic index, and it's also one of the most preeminent diabetes centers in the world. And so they're very serious about fixing diabetes there. If you had diabetes, that'd be the one place you'd want to go to get the best care, and one of the best places in the world to get care for diabetes. So
now, in this study, they gave test patients white bread, and which is a 100 on the glycemic index, and they observed with a single serving a 20% reduction in blood glucose and a 28% reduction if they had 2 servings. There was actually a 13 and 27% reduction in blood insulin, which is just massive. And I guess to your point, doctor, if you were going to have a study done, the Cleveland Clinic, the University of Sydney, Australia, these are good.
These are very reputable institutions, Absolutely.
Okay. And then finally, I want to talk about Unimate. Since we're talking about some studies, I want to bring up Unimate. And I'm sure you've seen this. I don't know if you've seen this or not. Let me go ahead and share my screen again because I goofed up and I unshared it. There we go. This study right here. Have you seen this one yet, doctor? I don't know if you have or not. This is, again, guys, NIH, PubMed. Yerba mate supplement exerts beneficial tissue-specific effects on mitochondrial efficiency and redox status in healthy adult mice. Now, doctor, in layman's terms, I believe that says that it increases our body's efficiency at burning fat.
Yes, exactly right.
Okay. Dr. Ben Bickman performed this study right here.
Yeah, and what it does is it makes your fat cells more wasteful of energy. That's what you want your fat cells to be, is just to waste energy. That means you're burning more when they are just wasting the energy. So it sort of accelerates, enhances the burning of fat.
Well, that's curious. Okay. I think I always had it the other way around, right? That we want to not be.
Well, it depends on how you look at this, but that's what's happening, basically. You want your cells to be wasteful of energy so that you can burn the fat.
So from this study, and it was Unicity's Unimate that he used. I highlighted it right there. In that study, a byproduct of that study, and he's not, it's not published, but he has been on podcasts verbally saying that it increases our body's own GLP-1 production by up to 70% during a fasted state.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that a little bit, doctor? What is the GLP-1 craze? What are we doing here?
So right now, the big craze, the $100 billion craze, which is the semaglutide drugs, these are an analog. They are a imitation hormone that your body makes, and it's made by your intestines. And what it does is it sort of it does 2 things. This GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide, does 2 things in your body. Number 1 is it slows down how fast your intestines move. When your intestines slow down, you start to, feel fuller, quicker, and you won't eat as much. The second thing it does is it acts at a central level, at a brain level, to subside your cravings for food. altogether to suppress the appetite. There's a third aspect to it, that it increases the insulin response when you do eat something. So you'll have a stronger, more robust insulin response when you do eat food. So the thing is, though, it's an analog. It's not perfect. It's not your body's own. And it tends, in some people, tends to cause some pretty profound calming of the intestines. It makes them too still. It makes them so still that the food doesn't move through the bowels for days, and it begins to rot in your intestines. People, when it rots, the bacteria metabolize it, and it forms this foul-smelling gas. They call them ozempic burps, that you are burping up this foul-smelling gas. And then the other thing is it can paralyze the gut altogether, in which at that point you're in this, we call this gastroparesis. It could be a very serious situation. My understanding, somebody famous, I think it's Ozzy Osbourne's wife. What's her name? I don't know her name.
Sharon.
Yeah, she's been on this medication for, I think, 8-10 months. She's in pretty bad shape. I'm hearing some bad things.
She's definitely outspoken against the product now.
Yeah, she's got a problem. And so, and there's various other situations where it's dangerous. The combination of these semaglutides plus anesthesia. So if you're going for a planned surgery, definitely don't want to take this within a week of that operation. If you're going to have to go under general anesthesia, you can absolutely shut your bowels down.
I recently so I've done a lot of deep dives on that. We're on my Facebook page right now. If you want to dig through my Facebook page, guys, I did a post on gastroparesis. And doctor, I don't know if you know that the odds were this high. 5.1% of the people who take one of those medications got gastroparesis. That's 1 in 20.
Yeah, that's a pretty high.
That's a high number.
1 in 20
got gastroparesis, 5.1%. The other thing was thyroid C-cell tumors, thyroid cancer, 58% increased risk of thyroid cancer, and a 78% increased risk of medullary thyroid cancer.
Now, to be fair, these types of cancers, or at least one of them, has a pretty long, like 10-year survival and 5-year survival rate. It's not the most virulent of cancers, but it's still cancer. I mean, who wants it? You know, I mean, yeah, who wants that?
58% increased risk. And again, when I did the post, it's on my Facebook. If you guys want, go dig it up on my Facebook. But I actually included the study, so you can read the study. Don't take it from me. Go read the study. Okay, so doctor,
people tend to overlook the pancreatitis aspect of this too.
Yes.
I think it's only 1 in 20,000. But here's the thing: if you get it, no, I think it's 1 in 10,000. But if you get pancreatitis has a mortality rate. That means a death rate of about up to 50%. So it's a highly lethal disease if you get pancreatitis. So these aren't little complications. These are serious stuff.
Okay. So I want to touch real quick on, I want to get to one question. Well, okay, how do I want to do that? Okay, real quick, we should talk about how to use the product. There are 2 products. We've touched on Unimate and Balance. Okay, Unimate is a tea. It's a wonderful tea. You're going to love it. It tastes wonderful. I'm going to recommend lemon. I love lemon ginger, and I love apple spice. I'm going to recommend your first order is lemon. Everybody likes lemon. Get the lemon. You're going to get 2 of them in North America. I say that's kind of funny. If you're outside of North America, get with whoever it is, and they'll explain to you how it works elsewhere. But you're going to get 2 of these. So simply, you wake up in the morning, you drink 1. I drink it hot. I've got a Yeti thermos, about 30 ounces to this. I fill this up with one of these and hot water, and I sip on that for about 2 to 3 hours. When it's gone, I do it again. Lather, rinse, repeat. I have 2 of those per day, just like that. As Dr. Akin was saying, the food noise is gone. It extends the fast. You feel like you can tackle the day. I don't even know how to describe that. You feel amazing. Brain fog is lifted. It increases your GLP-1 by up to 70% during that fasted state. And then Balance. This is a fiber supplement. You mix this with about 300 milliliters of water. That's about 10 ounces of water, cold water. Give it a quick little shake in the bottle that they're going to provide, and you chug it right before you eat. Start eating your meal and enjoy your meal. That is it. That's the entire process. You pair that with an intermittent fasting schedule. Basically, you skip breakfast and you're good to go. Now, That system costs $159. The manufacturer offers you a 90-day money-back guarantee. They guarantee you your money back. If you're not satisfied for any reason, ask for a refund. They'll give you all your money back. But what they're guaranteeing you is you're going to see a reduction in your A1C. You're going to see a reduction in your glucose. You're going to see a reduction in your cholesterol numbers. You're going to see a reduction in your blood pressure, your body weight. You're going to just feel amazing. You're going to feel great. If you don't, ask for a refund. They'll give you all your money back. No questions asked. Okay. So if you want to order the product, get with the person who invited you into this live stream or shared this live stream with you. Get with them. They will tell you how to order it. They will give you a link to order it direct from the manufacturer. You pay the same price as all of us do. Okay. With that in mind, Doctor, I wanted to transition over to some questions here real quick. I know we've gotten quite a few, and there was one question that I didn't miss it. I saw it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to put it up here. Let me see. It was right here. Lori, I'm on the Feel Great system, doing great, not completely there by any means. Wondering why, if we have insulin resistance, the doctors give us insulin.
Well, if you have diabetes, okay, and this is way that people need to begin to look at diabetes and cholesterol and everything else. If you're not able to get the blood sugar back into your cells after you eat some sugar or you eat something that's got carbohydrate in it, if the sugar is allowed to circulate around in your bloodstream and is not, put into the cell, it will eventually turn into bad things. It will turn into things like sorbitol, which is toxic to your nerves. It's toxic to your heart. It's toxic to your kidneys. And so they need to control the blood sugar level until your cells become sensitized to the effect of insulin once again. So the downside is giving those doses of insulin kind of worsens the situation in some ways. But if you're doing the right things, that is, you are consuming the right food and you're keeping what carbs you eat as complex carbs, meaning they're still married to fiber, and you are doing the fasting, eventually your cells will become resensitized to insulin and you won't require the insulin anymore. And so, but yeah, it's a little counterintuitive, isn't it? That we're giving insulin, which does, in fact, when you give people, one of the things, if you have to go on insulin as a diabetic, the one thing you can guarantee is going to happen to you is you're going to gain weight. You will gain weight when you go on insulin treatment as a diabetic, because insulin prevents you from really being able to burn fat. And so,
Dr. Ben Bickman used the analogy of it's kind of like giving a recovering alcoholic a glass of red wine.
Yeah.
Saying, what, this will make it better. Well, sure, it might take the edge off, but it's not making the problem better. And then the other thing that he said, and I've got a video, it's on my TikTok. I do edit him saying it, but he says, if you are insulin resistant, you are 2 times as likely to die of heart disease, 2 times as likely to die of cancer, and 3 times as likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. Yeah. And so really the goal is to get you off the insulin, And if you do start the protocol, you need to be, if you are on insulin therapy and you start this protocol, you need to be very cognizant of your insulin needs, because what you needed historically is going to go down. It will go down, and you can very easily over-medicate yourself. Is that a good way to put that, doctor?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're an insulin-dependent diabetic, you need to do this in conjunction with your doctor to make sure you're doing it right.
And here she goes. And folks, I figured we'd open up to Q&A. If anybody has any questions, we've got Derek, and we've got Dr. Akin. Feel free to ask, any questions. And while I'm kind of waiting for some of those questions to come in, Derek, I want to ask you, Derek. You were skeptical.
Yes.
There are a lot of snake oils out there. There's a lot of gimmicks out there. And half the people that are watching this, at least half the people that are watching this, are like, what is this crap, right?
This product is not going away. It's not going away
at all.
Yeah.
Derek, what do you say to the skeptic who's watching the three of us right now? What do you say to that person?
Well, I'll say, sometimes skepticism is good because you won't fall for anything, right?
Yeah.
But for me, anyway, I've never met a professional athlete that didn't try to get an edge. So I've taken a lot of supplements, and at my age, I didn't meet Dr. Akin in May, he told me about insulin resistance. I was doing the same protocol, same workout schedule, and with the same supplements, sea moss, moringa. And soon as I got onto the Feel Great system, I dropped in like 2 months, 22 pounds. And I wasn't even trying. So there was something to it that's made me go, all right, he was right. There's something underlying, the supplements that I was already taking. So yeah, the skepticism is good, but make sure you give yourself a chance to make sure that this isn't just another snake oil, and the proof was in the pudding for me. So my supplements had to work double overtime in order to make me where I needed to be. But as soon as I got my Feel Great system, bloop, everything dropped. So it was awesome.
You mentioned something just now that I wanted to kind of touch on that I don't touch on a whole lot. Lynette says, I wish my brother-in-law was on here. I didn't tag him. Lynette, tag him right now. And when this live is over, the next time he comes into, that's a great thing. I'm glad you said that. Tag him right now. Go ahead and feel free to do that. The next time that he logs into Facebook, he'll get the notification. Okay. What I wanted to say was, you're familiar, Derek, are you familiar with Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
I am. I saw he's on the Unimate.
Yeah. He is on the Unimate. He's on the Feel Great system.
Yeah.
There is another guy out there.
Wasn't Shaquille O'Neal? Isn't he he's actually a distributor, several members.
No, I don't think he's a distributor. I don't think he's a distributor. And I've heard, I haven't really validated that one.
There was somebody in his family because the guy was a DJ at his house.
I'm pretty confident that there is a Shaquille O'Neal aspect. I think there is.
Okay.
I don't think we're really supposed to talk about
I don't want to speak for him, but
I don't think we're supposed to talk about that, Doctor.
Oh. Sorry. Hey, I didn't sign a contract.
So everybody, let's play Men in Black. Okay?
Sorry.
Into the light.
Sorry, Shaquille.
Okay, but
be proud.
Okay, but there is Zach Bitter. You guys have probably never heard of Zach Bitter. This guy likes to get out and run. He likes to run like a lot. He's an ultra marathon runner. He runs 100 miles at a time.
Wow.
There are 1 billion things I would rather do than run 100 miles. But this guy loves doing it. He swears by Unimate. Swears by it. In fact, if you go to his Twitter page and you look, there's a picture of him running with a bottle. And one of the people asked, what's in the bottle? And he says Unimate. It's on his Twitter page. You can go follow him there. Zach Bitter is his name. He's a world record ultra marathon runner. And the same day in 2019, I believe it was, he set the world record for the fastest 100 miles. And then he covered the most ground in 14 hours. Wow. He ran 100 miles in like 11 hours and 19 minutes or something like that. And then there's Mike Saunders, who is a powerlifter. And Mike Saunders swears by the product. He set 3 world records in one competition, and he too swears by the Unimate. Swears by it. He says that it's him. If anybody wants that interview, I will gladly show the interview I'll gladly share the interview with you. It's on YouTube. I've got it on YouTube. So just let me know, and I will gladly share that interview with Mike Saunders saying it's the Unimate that pushed me through 3 world records in one tournament. So there is, Derek, I heard you kind of touch on some performance enhancing aspects that I really don't dive a whole lot into, but there is a lot of performance enhancing. It actually is quite amazing there. Okay, so Doctor, I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions come in. Doctor, final words from you. What do you say to somebody who is on the fence, somebody who's listening to this and saying, okay, I don't know who the Yahoo barbecue dude is or who the former pro baseball player is. I want to trust the doctor.
It's
But
like Derek said, it's good to be skeptical because that protects us from being duped into something bad. But this isn't one of those type of things. You need to try the product, give it the 90 days and see what happens. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Don't let your skepticism talk you out of this good thing. It's not ever going to go away. This is a strong product. There's at this point, there's so many doctors involved with this because they're seeing what's happening with their patients. I'm not even an internist, and I've helped 3 multi-decade diabetics come off of all their medicines. Okay, I'm not even I don't know anything about diabetes. You know what I mean, relatively speaking.
that's
I mean,
me.
if somebody came in diabetic ketoacidosis, I'm going to call the internist, right? But I've been able to manage this, help people get off their medicines with this product. And it's fantastic.
That's
It's not
me.
going away.
I'm not a doctor, and I've helped a lot of people. Okay. And I'm just going to echo what those two said. I can't say it any better than you two did. Okay. And so, Derek, what are your socials? Where can people find you on social media, Derek?
Oh, I'm on everything. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X. It used to be Twitter.
They just look up Derek Henderson?
Yeah, Derek Henderson. I think one of them says D Hindu 31. Hindu, that's HENDU 31. You can see me on that. I'm constantly on there. I've been on there forever on Facebook. I just got on TikTok, but yeah, I like getting on there, educating people. And thanks to Dr. Akin, I mean, he opened my eyes when he told me he wasn't going to renew his contract at St. Bernard's. I knew he was on to something. So I was like, yeah, I let me follow him.
Dr. Akin, what are your socials? Where are they going to find you?
You just find me at Eric Akin MD on TikTok. I've got several Facebook accounts, but one that's more of where I'm talking about this kind of stuff is the Eric Akin MD Mind Fitness Method Facebook. It's a page, and then I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Okay. Okay, so in summary, guys, if you're watching this, if you've been tagged into this, and it sounds like something you want to try, get with the person who invited you in. They will share with you how to purchase. They'll send you a link. You simply order it from there. That link will go directly to Unicity, and Unicity will send you the product. Boom, just like that. If you're going to order it, go into it with a 90-day mindset. Go into it with the idea that I'm going to give this thing hell. I'm going to try as hard as I can at this product and see if I can break it. If I do exactly what they say, see where you're at in 90 days. If you're happy, great. If you're not, ask for a refund. Okay. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would assume Doc didn't have a problem with you reaching out to him too. Guys, gentlemen, thank you very much. This was a great live. Actually, I really enjoyed this format. More of an interview kind of format. More of a podcast.
Yeah, it's great.
All right.
All right.
We will talk to you guys later. Thank you very much, Derek. You have a wonderful one. Dr. Akin, thank you very much.
You too.